What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in again this week. So the other day I was playing around in a project that I was working on, and one of the sounds that was included in this project for me to manipulate was the sound of birds. And so I was using this bird sound and I just kind of threw it through a set of plugins. And it ended up kind of being what I like to call my Bob Ross moments, where they're happy little accidents. And I realized that I could take the sound of birds and turn them into R2D2 from Star Wars. So with that being said, that's what we're going to get into today. I'm going to show you exactly what I did to create this so that if you're ever working on like a Star Wars fan fiction or something Star Wars universe related, you can actually use this instead of the ARP 2600 that Ben Burt used. Also, while you're here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos such as this. So with that being said, let's get started. Alright, so we're going to jump into Pro Tools here in just a second, and I'm going to show you my workflow and my signal chain that I used to create the R2D2 sounds from the birds. And the birds that I used were the thrush song birds, which are primarily found in the European region. So I did have to go out and source those sounds. Luckily, freesound.org has a wide variety of user-created sounds, and they're all under different types of Creative Commons licenses. So you'll actually find the links to all three of the songbird sounds that I pulled from Free Sounds. Those will be down in the description below. And with that being said, let's jump into Pro Tools here. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull in the sounds that I had gathered from Free Sounds. Now, two of these are already mono, which is what I'm looking for. This other one, this is actually a stereo track. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to go ahead and split this out. And then I can take this and throw it up there and delete these other two tracks. And we'll go ahead and close our clips list. So just to kind of give you an example of what the birds sound like without any type of processing. And so the first thing that I want to do is I want to get them into more of a tonal type of sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of the plugins that I got from the free plugins bundle with Melda Productions. There'll be a link to those plugins again in the description below. I've used them several times here on my channel. So we're going to go in here and we're going to use the M Auto Pitch. And I'm going to select the major key. This is what it's going to kind of auto-tune everything to the major key, which you're not going to be able to tell a lot of difference, but it definitely helps. And I'm going to take the depth and I'm going to push it all the way up. And I'm going to take the speed all the way up. And everything else I'm going to leave alone. So with an auto-tune bird, so there's not a whole lot that happens. It really affects it though once we start layering a bunch of different plugins here. So when Ben Burt created the sound for R2D2, he actually did it on an ARP 2600 synthesizer. And I don't have one of those because they're really old, they're really expensive, and I just don't have access to one. But one of the plugins or effects rather that was built into the synthesizer was a ring mod, and that is something that I do have. And again, it's another plugin that I got from the free plugins bundle in the Melda Productions, and it is our M ring modulator. And I'm going to go into our clicking preset and I'm going to adjust this just a little bit. I'm going to change our shape. I want it to be kind of a rectangle And then we're going to take this custom knob and we're just going to slam it all the way up. And then for our phase, we're going to move that all the way up as well. So now with our M auto pitch and our ring modulator, now we can kind of hear the R2D2 sound kind of taking shape. So you can hear it definitely sounds more robotic, and the ring modulator is actually the same effect that was used with the Daleks from Doctor Who. So something else that I'm going to do while I'm here is I'm actually going to go ahead and crash Pro Tools. Alright, so what I was trying to do before Pro Tools decided to be all crazy on me, I just wanted to clip gain these a little bit so they were a lot louder. But when we do that, unfortunately what that means is then we get a lot more of the background noise. So we need to get rid of that. And for that, I'm actually going to go in here to our dynamics and I'm going to use our D3 expander and gate. And I'm going to essentially keep everything right where it is. We just need that gate on there to get rid of some of the background noise. Alright, and the last thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to EQ this a little bit. So we're going to go into our 7-band EQ. And I'm going to roll off quite a bit of the low end. And I'm going to roll off just a little bit of the top. And so when we keep a lot of the mids that are in there, in this case we kept mostly mid-highs, it kind of gives the sound more of a sound like it's coming out of a speaker and not a full fidelity sound. So we'll go ahead and take a listen to this. So you can hear that there's a lot of sounds in here that don't necessarily sound like R2D2. And that's why I pulled in 3 different clips that span just over 5 minutes. So we can go in and we can find all the little samples that do sound like R2D2 and we can clip those out and just use those. I'm not going to make you sit through 5 minutes of me editing audio. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pull out what I think are the most R2D2-esque sounds, and we'll take a listen to those. All right, so I went ahead and pulled out what clips I thought kind of embodied that R2D2 sound. And you can see that out of just over 5 minutes of clips, I only ended up with, let's see here, just over 21 seconds. Now, I don't quite remember any dialogue that R2D2 has had in any of the movies that spanned quite 22 seconds. So I'm going to play this, and it's just going to be kind of a mashup of all the clips together. And I'm going to let it play through once, and so that you can hear the R2D2 sound. And then just so nobody thinks that anything funny happened during that cut, when I was clipping out all the audio, as it plays through a second time, I'm going to go through and turn back off the effects. So considering that I was using birds instead of the ARP 2600, I really like how this turned out. And so if you were doing like a Star Wars fan fiction kind of thing, or a recreation, this would definitely be a great way to recreate anything R2D2. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap things up for this week. I really hope you enjoyed this recreation of R2D2 using only birds. If you'd like to join the Sound Effects Guy Discord server, there will be a link in the description below, along with all 3 of the bird sounds that I pulled from freesounds.org and the free Melda production plugins that I used. Don't forget, there's still a week left to get your entry in for the I Challenge You to Sound Design This Clip number 5. Make sure when you upload those to YouTube, you do include hashtag the Sound Effects Guy in the title. That way, when I go through YouTube and I'm searching, that's what I'm going to be searching for so that I can find it. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys create. Until next time.